Alan's never there at 7 o'clock in the morning. And like, we're all looking at each other like, what's this guy doing here? You know? Mm-hmm. But he hates his car. And he was there laughing. He's in a good mood. Everything's good. Okay, we get the car done, clean it up. We put it on the plate. Thursday, me, Tony put on grain scales. Because we had grain scales back then. Right. Me, Tony, and Alan were setting it up. The guy's doing the thing. Everybody else is doing whatever they're doing. And car's ready to go. Okay, I got to go out and do the pit stops. Well, we used that car for the pit stop practice. So back then we only had a makeshift wall made out of wood. You know, took it out with a hand truck, and I bring the pit box out, and I drove the car to do the pit stops. You know, because I was a catch can man. But we did pit stops. Well, he had his briefcase there, and he had it by the door, and he puts it by the door, by the side door all the time by his car, and it sat there. Hey, Alan, we got to go. Yeah, and he goes in the office. Hey, Alan, you got to go. And he goes in the back. Alan, you got to go. He did that for like 15 times, like 100 times. Excuse me, and he did. I'm like, Alan, you got to go. Well, all right, guys, he grabs his briefcase. He goes, all right, see you later. And that was the last we saw of him. So we do our pit stops, no big deal. We pack everything up the road we go. And I'm going up 81, and I had Tony in the truck with me. Because Tony rode me. And I heard on the CB radio, hey, hear about that airplane? And they didn't, of course, say it to me, but like, hey, you heard about that airplane that crashed? And we're like, of course, I heard on the CB, because we didn't have cell phones. I'm like, what about that airplane? And they're like, yeah, it was a racing airplane. So I'm thinking, okay, so I get on the radio again, like, I need to hear more about this racing airplane. And I'm thinking Rusty, because Rusty at the time was the only one that really had an airplane at the time. So I'm thinking, oh, man, Rusty's plane had a problem, you know? Mm-hmm. And long story short, we get off. Well, Tony says, you got to stop. Well, we find a phone booth. Find a phone booth back then. We found a phone booth. He calls his wife and say, hey, man, just to let you know, because they were supposed to be in that plane. Because they wanted to do pit stops. They weren't. Yeah. And he wanted to just let her know that, hey, I'm in the truck, everything's cool. So we go to the motel thinking nothing of it. And I get there, and there's a Johnson City cop sitting at the motel. And I'm thinking, what's up with that? What's a cop doing here? And then, of course, the guy at the desk was a little, not weird, but you could tell he was, like, nervous. And I'm thinking, trying to put two and two together, and one thing leads to another. And then Paul calls, and he says, hey, I'm at the airport, don't know what's going to go on. Stand by. Well, now we start hearing more on TV. Of course, like I said, we didn't have cell phones, and news media wasn't as fluent as it is now. Right. And about 4:30, we get a phone call. It was Alan. And that's how we lead into your deal at the racetrack. So I'm like, now what do we do? So I'm like, nobody knew what to do. Nobody, because our leader was gone. Mm-hmm. Our leader, our owner, our guy was gone. What do we do? So we went to the racetrack. So we decided to go to the racetrack just to see what was next. And one thing kind of led to another after that. So by then, that was the old Bristol, where you had to park on top. That was before they did all the bulldozer and all the stuff they got out. You had a one-way in. It was, if people remember the old Bristol, it was a pain to get in there. Yeah. And I remember that. Mm-hmm. Well, Buster comes up to me, and him and I talked for a little bit. And I said, Buster, I don't know, I don't want to get down in that infield, because the past champion truck went down into turn 4. And that's by Victory Lane. I said, once I get in there, you can't get out. Mm-hmm. He said, well, get it, do your thing, go by points. He says, and I'll take care of you once you get in there. And that's how the truck ended up on the start-finish line. Wow. So about that. And then cool. a lot happened after that. So
yeah, Eddie Younts messaged me. Said, look, he said I was there. That's the checker flag. The truck taking the checker flag. That was a sad day. Sure.
Yeah, it wasn't fun, because we didn't know what was going to happen. NASCAR wanted us, that NASCAR and NASCAR to track, NASCAR and Daytona and NASCAR to track were very supportive. Ford tried to get involved. Everyone, so much started escalating so fast, but we didn't know what to do. And we didn't say, because everything we did was always through Alan. Yeah. So then Jerry, which was Alan's dad, he started getting more involved in it. He was obviously distraught because he just lost his son. Right. He did not want to see the car run, but he's like, boys, you're there. I'm not. You make the best decision. And what are you going to do? You could put Dale Earnhardt in that car. You could put Rusty Walsh in that car, and God forbid they wreck it. Just, something happens to it. And Alan has been gone 12 hours, and Alan's death meant nothing. You just can't do it. Nobody had the heart to do it. Nobody wanted to do it. Right. Everybody was upset, lost, sad. And we just all made a decision. It was like, hey, we got to get out of here. We got guys at the shop. We got to go home. We got to regroup. Yeah. So NASCAR, like I say, Daytona and NASCAR at the track said, whatever you guys decide to do. But they also said, could you please make a lap or two, whatever you feel comfortable for the guys that are here, because when you leave, they can't go to the memorial. They don't know what's going to happen. So, at first I did not want to do it. Like I said before, I did not want to do it. I was scared Alan's going to be so mad at me for doing it. Yeah. But I said, I got to do it.
Well, you mentioned they wanted you to do a Polish one.
They wanted me to do a Polish one. And I said, no. Yeah. No, I said, no, that's Alan's trademark. I says, I'm not doing it. I said, that's, and now when the guys do it now, when the race car drivers are now, I think it's cool. I think it's cool as heck.
Yeah, sure.
But I did not want to do it that moment. I said, that's something Alan perfected. Yeah. That was his trademark. And when I left there, I mean, I'll tell you, they always say the hardest turn for a race car driver is to make that hard left-hand turn into the pit area. Sure. No, it ain't. The hardest turn is to make that hard right turn out of the garage, out of the track. Yeah. That was the hardest turn I ever had to turn right there.
I know a lot of times back in '93, a lot of the other drivers were still doing that lap.
Yeah, and I think it's still cool they do it to this day,
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's cool. And that's a cool tribute because it's something that was Alan's deal,
Well, what was really cool was that Sam Bass painting that he did called Champions 4 Ever. And he had Earnhardt and Wallace driving at Atlanta away with the 28 flag and the 7 flag. And that was my photo on the cover of Scene.
Yeah.
And he made that painting.
Yeah.
And made that. And actually, I own that painting, that original.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Good feel.
Yeah, that is.